Welcome everybody back to Boost in Motion, guys. And today I'm actually kind of making a reaction video. What are the top 5 modifications for the new Nissan Z? I know we're waiting for it, but shout out to Bros for Speed. He made his own video talking about some of the modifications, and no disrespect, much love, because we're fellow YouTubers, but I've been in the VR30 platform for a while. So I think I'm just gonna critique a little bit of the things that he says. So guys, you already know what to do. Let's hit that intro. Welcome everybody back to Boost in Motion, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Thank you. So welcome back, everybody. So if you already don't know me, I am Boost in Motion. I'm a fellow Nissan Infiniti enthusiast, but I am currently an owner of a Mercedes C63. Some of you guys told me to get a better mic. Don't worry, I'm gonna get a better mic. I'm learning, I'm building as I fly. But anyway, guys, let's go. Let's jump right into it. So I'm gonna do audio share. I'm not gonna do a screen share, Bros for Speed, because at the end of the day, I don't want to get any copyright or anything like that. But I will be playing some of the audio of the top 5 things that he says. So let's go. There's no longer waiting on this. And if you are part of the Boost in Motion family, that means you already hit the like button. So he's going to give his first modification, and I'm going to tell you if I agree with it or not. So guys, let's go. Let's jump into it.
First and foremost, the first mod this car needs is better suspension. Now, in a previous video, I mentioned how I think the ride quality is fantastic. It's comfortable and smooth on the softer end, still handles really well. However, if you do want this car to be just that extra step up for pinpointy handling, really back and forth, quick turns in the mountains on the track, you're going to want to upgrade it.
So, guys, so first thing he said is modifications to the stance of the car. I completely agree with him. But he did state in this video, he said you could look into doing maybe when he receives his, he's gonna do springs and then maybe move into a coilover set, right? And I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinion on this coilover thing. If you've been in the Nissan Infiniti community, if you had a Z or G car from the V35 or the V36 or V34. Don't beat me up, guys. I can't really remember. But the way that the Nissan Z, remember, this is built on the 370Z. It uses a spring bucket. Pretty much the shock and spring is separate. Now, as he's talking about, this gives for good ride comfort, but quite well, they don't have this type of setup. Not saying that you can't maximize it, but what I would actually do is I would go with a coilover, but I wouldn't go with the coilover made necessarily that they usually make for the Z. Usually in the rear section, you'll have a shock and a spring bucket, right? I would completely do a spring bucket delete. Zero Motorsports sell a lot of this stuff, and you can actually adjust the toe with the spring bucket. But what you'll do is you'll remove the spring, and it'll be replaced by pretty much a toe arm. Now the coilover and shock would actually be in place. Now you have no more spring bucket. So I would actually go to a true coilover style shock and spring rather than a spring bucket and shock. That's what I actually do. Most cars handle a lot better and give better ride comfort. It's very subjective depending on what you want to use for the car. Because if you have a spring bucket on your car, the car won't go as low, period. Because the spring bucket, you can only adjust it by so much. When you remove through the spring bucket delete, now you have more adjustment in that toe arm so they can go in and out and you can adjust a lot more. Especially some people actually like the spring buckets because if you're going to go the bagged route, usually you'll put the bag in the spring bucket and then you'll just have the shock and you can air it out that way. So that's what some people choose to do too. It's really up to you. But I would go with a true coilover style. I'll completely delete the spring bucket. No springs. I'm sorry. Even though this car probably is going to have DDS suspension, pretty much you can adjust the firmness through the cockpit. It ain't nothing like a mag ride. So full coilover replacement. So let's go to the second thing that he stated. And he stated, let's press play right now. His second thing he said was
Number 2 on the list for a modification this thing needs is an upgraded exhaust. So it's kind of funky how the exhaust looks. The muffler is more of like a sound chamber or something. It is unlike anything I've seen. You can see how it's dual exhaust, and then it kind of splits to where it's really just the sound going into it, but the exhaust gas really just goes out of it. So really unique. On top of that, in the middle.
So I'm completely agree with him on a catback exhaust because this car is super quiet. All the videos I've heard, super quiet. So we already know that this car is going to come with probably 2.25 inch wide pipes. We've been in this community a while. Nissan's going to have these pipes at about 2 inches. This is terrible for performance, but good for quietness and cabin noise. So I'm going to give you guys my opinion, right? I agree with him in the catback, but I would add a little addition that he didn't speak on. I would do full 3-inch catted downpipes. We know that that is one of the best modifications for this platform to have the best turbo spool and to have the pretty much the best amount of top end horsepower. Yes, you can add a catback exhaust, but that's not really going to give you peak wheel horsepower at so much. You want to remove a lot of the restriction on the turbines themselves. I'm not saying you guys to go catless. If you want to maximize it, you can go catless, but I'm still not a fan of catless. I believe that these turbos are still not large enough so that you would need to go full freaking catless. You can go with a 2 or 300 cell full catted 3-inch downpipe, and it will flow just as good, almost as good as the catless, without any of the downsides. And then I would recommend a 3-inch a catback exhaust, or I would even add, because this is a Nissan Z, go 3-inch single. Save a little bit of weight there, but nonetheless, 3-inch catback exhaust with 3-inch full catback down 3-inch catted down pipes. So what is number 3? Shout out to, if you made it to this part of the video, guys, come on, show me some love. I'm trying to help you guys out because this video may actually help some of you guys out for the future. Not saying that Bros for Speed doesn't know what he's doing. It's just that he's going a slightly different route. And me being in this community a while and being around people who've been modifying these VR30s for what? I've been in this community since 2014, the Q50QC community. So I know a lot about these cars. So just trying to share and help you guys out. So the third thing he said was, let's go to that part right here and let's play.
But I think we'll also add to the fun factor, which is upgrading the air intakes. Now, my Nissan GTR, twin turbo engine, of course, when you do the intakes on it, you hear all the turbo noise, the blow off, the induction. And this car, you don't hear any turbo noises stock. Having a turbocharged car to me is so much fun because they make such unique sounds that you don't get elsewhere.
So what I want to add here is this. Do I agree with him on getting intakes for your VR30 Nissan Z? And I'm going to tell you guys, no. I think you should skip the modification of intakes for the Nissan Z. Reason being is, even though Zima Motorsports stated that the compressor side, the cold side, is slightly larger than the OEM ones, I still would recommend skipping this modification. In his case, he wants it because it makes noises, but yes, you can get some of the induction noise from the turbo spooling up, but we've been in this community for a while. We don't really care about open engine, open bay intakes, or he even talked about in the case even blower valve noises and stuff. We know that new Nissan Z is going to have a recirculation valve or diverter valve system, so there's not going to be no, and it's electronics. So you're not going to have all the whooshing. So we're not really talking about the blower valves, but I would say completely skip the full intake. I don't really see that as a benefit. And what would I replace that intake with? Well, we'll talk about it a little later. So I'm basically giving you guys my 5, but just pulling the intakes from his. But I would just stay with stock intakes, a drop-in filter, dry flow drop-in filter, and call it a day. I'm sorry, there's not going to hear much noises. Or go with an aftermarket AMS, AM, or Zero Motorsports intakes because they're going to make it. And if it's anything like the Q50, Q60, sometimes these cars parts are interchangeable. Go with a closed box air intake system, not the open engine air bay one. I just like those ones. They look more clean. And it's still an intake. So am I really agreeing with Bro for Speed? Yes, but you're not going to get all the noises. Just go with a better, flowier intake system that's closed. Anyways, what's the next part? This one right here. Let's go. Okay, so ready?
That are such necessities, but number 4 is a wider set of wheels. Now, I get this has to comply with certain regulations. That's why, there's going to be things that are the way they are. And I do love the wheels. The Performance Z gets a really good set of 19 split spoke, dark gray.
All right, so he said go with a wider set of wheels. And I'm going to agree with him too. I believe this car is probably going to come with like 8.5 in the front, maybe 9.5 in the rear. That's usually what Nissan usually do for the Nissan Z's. So, and it'll probably be on, and the tires are not very that not that wide. So you can only, knowing that this car is going to be making more power than the old Nissan Z, you're going to be making, once this car is tuned, it's going to be making 500, 550 pounds of torque. You're going to need wider tires. You're going to need wider wheels. So I completely agree with him. But as an addition that he didn't speak on, I would recommend getting rid of the OEM Bridgestones and going with a better stickier tire like a Michelin. Or if you care about your road racing, go with like a R888. And if you care for dig racing, go with an NT05R tire. Just go with a more stickier, high performance tire rather than the Bridgestones that come on the car. They're just not that good. I'm sorry. Even though they probably run flat to a non-run flat tire, just get away from them. Move away. Go with a Michelin, R888s if you're doing road course racing, or NT05Rs if you're doing any drag racing. And go with a wider, of course, wider and lighter wheel. If it's anything like the Nissan Z, you can put 10 and a half, 11 in the rear with a decent offset of like right around 35, 25, and the car will do what it got to do. Same thing for front. You could fit like 9.5, 10, 10 and a half in the front too. These cars have really deep wheel wells. So lightweight tire or lightweight wheel or wider wheel and or a wider tire that's stickier. That's it. And his last one he said is this. You ready for this part? Let's see.
Took me a while to come up with because I ran out. I had nothing else that I thought it needed. So with that said, number 5 is going to be engine tuning. To be honest, this car doesn't need to be any faster. I know some people are going to complain and say it's slower than a Supra, slower than a GT Mustang. It doesn't feel slow. It is a quick car.
All right, so that's where I'm going to end his square and share here, and I'm going to give you guys, this was his five list, right? Whatever. Now I've agreed with majority of it, but I did modify it a little bit, boost in motion style. Do I agree with him in tuning? Yes, but my replacement for his third option was intakes, is actually a larger heat exchanger. I've known plenty of people in this platform, and they've already looked at the new Nissan Z, and it comes with, once again, a very small heat exchanger on this car. We're gonna get rid of that. Anyone that's been in the VR30 platform knows that that is an essential modification before tuning. So I would replace the intakes and say replace it and get a larger heat exchanger from AMS, AAM Competition, Mishimoto, or any of these companies, because most likely if it's anything similar, it might be interchangeable. But once again, once we get our hands on this car, these companies are going to make these parts super easy. It ain't going to take that long. Manufacturing is going to be super quick. So get a larger heat exchanger. For anyone who's watching, larger heat exchanger pretty much for the intercoolers. We have air to water intercoolers on the VR30, and pretty much it heat soaks after a certain amount of pulls. That's it. I don't. So Nissan did as much as they can with the front grille styling so that it could allow as much air in to cool down this heated up coolant. But at the end of the day, they didn't put a large one such as AMS's AAM or Mishimoto or even Z1 Motorsports. So go with a larger heat exchanger so that you can air cool that air that charge air coolant so that we can have consistent power. That is something that you need before tuning. And lastly, what I would add is yes, then you go get a tune. I think this car on 91, 93 tune, known as Zero Motorsport, says that the compressor side is slightly larger. This car should be making more peak horsepower. Now, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. If you watch that Haggard video where they did the quarter mile times, right? And the car trapped like 117, 118. Now, anyone in this platform knows just like this, right? If your car's trapping 117 to 118 on 93 fuel on a VR30, you're usually 93 tuned. Like, yes, our cars are a bit heavier, but a Q50, Q60s running 118, 119, you're usually 93 tuned, making about 450 to 460 wheel horsepower on 93. So, and that's with good grip and everything like that. So, for that car to do that, 116 to 118 completely stock lets us know, number one, because of how light the car is, but number two, it does have more additional power for it, because usually a Q50 red sport will probably trap like 109, 110. It's beating a regular red sport by almost 6 to 8 mile an hour. That's insane. I understand the car being lighter, but nonetheless, that transmission is probably a little better gear ratios, and the power delivery is a lot better because it's only going on two wheels. So, nonetheless, I think this Nissan Z is probably going to be underrated. I think when they tuned it, when they first initially tuned this car, I think this car made down to like 380, 390. I think it may because it's more efficient. I would assume, depending on what gear they do it on an automatic transmission, and the stick shift is just gonna be a lot better, pretty much. So I can't wait to see what this car does. But that's my honest true 5. Replace the coilovers, replace to a coilover set, but go to a true style coilover. Get rid of the spring bucket so you can have more adjustment. 2, go with a full 3-inch catted downpipe and 3-inch catback exhaust, and or maybe in a single exhaust. 3, don't skip the intakes and go with a larger heat exchanger so you can have consistent performance without any pretty much heat soak from the consistent pulls. 4, go with wider wheels, lighter wheels, and wider tires, and or pretty much stickier tires such as a Michelin, R888s, and or NT05R for drag racing because it is a real drive car. And finally, I agree with him completely. Get your car tuned on 91 and 93 and have fun. So outside that, guys, you have good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thank you so much. Thank you for always banging with your boy Boots. I really appreciate you guys. Continue to support the channel. And if you haven't already hit the like button, please hit the like button right now. But outside that, guys, you have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. Thank you, guys. Hit me up at boostinmotion IG, Facebook, and boostinmotion@gmail.com. Outside that, guys, you have a good day. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Do appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. You can also check out the 2 links I posted for some of my other videos. Also, on top of that, if you want to purchase some Boost in Motion merch, definitely check the link that I posted also. And finally, if you've been watching all my videos and you enjoy them, please hit the link to subscribe to my YouTube.